Good day, nurses. Now let's discuss the respiratory system. When we say respiratory system, it is the body system that help us to breathe. It brings us an oxygen and remove carbon dioxide, which is carbon dioxide is the waste product of cellular metabolism. So, what are the main function of our respiratory system? So, first is for breathing. Okay, number one is for breathing. Okay, breathing, the moving of air in and out of the lungs. Okay, that is breathing or the ventilation na sinasabi natin. Second one, gas exchange. Okay, the exchange of the carbon dioxide and oxygen. So, getting oxygen into the blood and carbon dioxide out. Okay, so si oxygen kailangan pumasok, si carbon dioxide kailangan umalis kasi nga waste product si carbon dioxide. Next, pangatlo is the sound production or phonation. Sound production or the phonation na tinatawag natin. Why? Because of the larynx or also known as in layman's term, the voice box. Okay? Fourth is for smell or the olfaction because of the nose. And five, for protection. Why? Why it protects us, the respiratory system? Because it filters dust and microbes from the air. Okay, sa nose natin, may mga hair-like structures tayo dyan, yung cilia na tinatawag natin. May buhok tayo na makikita sa ating ilong. And that is the main function of that cilia and the hair structure in our nose is to filter dust and microbes. So, hindi sila nakakapasok. Kaya nga tayo nagkakaroon ng kulangot. Yung kulangot na yan yung mga dust at yung mga microbes na filter ng ating ilong. Okay, so let's isa-isahin natin yung mga structure natin. So when we say respiratory system, it has two main parts, the upper respiratory and the lower respiratory. Sa upper respiratory natin, we have different structure. First, we have your nose. Sa nose natin, it filters moisten and warm airs. Bakit? The characteristic of our air, okay, the air is dry in nature. I repeat, air is dry in nature. So why kapag once na pumasok yung dry na air sa ating system, ang mangyayari diyan pag hindi yan na moisten, hindi yan napainit. Okay? Pag once na hindi siya na moisten or napainit, ang tendency magda-dry ang lining ng ating respiratory system. Kapag pumasok ang hindi na moisten, okay? Hindi na moisten na air or dry na air sa ating system, ang gagawin ng air na yan, it can cause dryness sa ating mucous membrane. Kapag once na dry ang mucous membrane natin, mabilis na lang siyang i-invade ng microorganism. Okay? Mabilis na lang siyang invade. Bakit? Parang ganito lang yan. Kapag yung lupa ay dry, anong nangyayari? Yung mga lupa sa palayan, anong nangyayari sa kanila kapag tagtuyot? 'Di ba nagkakaroon ng crack? Nagka-crack sila. Ganun din ang ating mga cell membrane. Ganun din ang ating mucous membrane. Na kapag once na dry ang nangyari is ang mucous membrane natin, it can cause crack. At yung crack na yan, pwede na lang pasukan ng microorganism yan. Kaya kailangan yung air na pumapasok sa atin ay namamoisten para hindi siya totally dry. Third one, kailangan it warms air. Bakit kailangan mainit daw yung air na pumapasok? Parang ganito lang yan. Kapag once na malamig yung environment, plus mainit yung environment. For example, ang ating katawan is mainit. Tapos ang ipapasok mo na air dyan is malamig. Anong mangyayari? Try to imagine, pumunta ka ng Robinsons. Si Robinsons, malamig yung loob. Pag once na lumabas ka, mainit siya. Anong nangyayari dun sa glasses mo? 'Di ba nagkakaroon ng foggy? Nagmo-moist siya yung ating mga lens, yung mga glasses natin. Ganun din ang ating respiratory. Kapag once na nag-meet ang air na mainit at malamig, it can create water. It can create moisture. So kapag once na nagkaroon ng water yan, it can accumulate in our respiratory tract. So magkakaroon tayo ng excessive accumulation ng water sa ating lungs. Kaya kailangan warm dapat yung air na pumasok para walang magkakaroon hindi magkakaroon ng water accumulation in our lungs. So that is the main function of our nose. Next, the pharynx, or also known as the throat in layman's term. The pharynx, this is part of GI and respi. This is the pathway for food, air, and air. Okay, this is a pathway for both food and air. Next one natin, the larynx. The larynx is also known as the voice box. It makes sounds and protects the airway. Next natin, we have the lower respi. The lower respi natin, first we have the trachea or the trachea. The trachea is also known as the windpipe. The windpipe, a tube that carries air to the lungs. As you can see, the trachea, eto siya this is the trachea. As you can see, our trachea is made up of cartilage ring. Okay, gawa siya sa cartilage ring. Kung mapapansin mo, yung puti-puti na yan, that is the cartilage. Why is that our trachea is made up of cartilage? Para sa ganun, mas maging strong yung foundation ng ating trachea. Kasi kapag once na hindi cartilage or hindi gawa sa cartilage yan, try to imagine, yung kapag umiinom ka ng soft drinks, 'di ba yung straw, kapag once na tinakpan mo yung baba tapos sinipsip mo, ang nangyayari, nagdidikit siya. 'Di ba dumidikit yung straw, parang siyang nagko-collapse. Wala ngayong air, wala ka ngayong masipsip. Kasi nga nakatakip yung sa baba. Parang ganun lang din ang ating trachea. Na kapag hindi siya made up of strong material such as the cartilage, ang mangyayari sa kanya, magko-collapse siya. Magko-collapse siya at kapag nag-collapse yan, walang makakapasok na air. So as simple as walang magkakaroon ng gas exchange, hindi magkakaroon ng gas exchange kasi nga collapse yung ating trachea because of no cartilage. Kaya kailangan, napaka-importante ni cartilage sa ating trachea. Next natin, we have the bronchi. Okay, the bronchi. Bronchi. Okay, your bronchi have two main tubes going to each lung. Ito naman siya. Ito. Meron dyan. Okay. Okay, meron dyan. That's the bronchi. Parang yung tube dito na malaki. Yun. That is the bronchi. So, si bronchi, yan yung papunta na sa lungs natin, papunta sa alveoli. Okay, that's the bronchi. Your bronchioles, ito naman yung maliliit na parang branch ng tree. That is the bronchioles. The smaller branches inside the lungs. Okay? And then next is your alveoli. Your alveoli is a tiny air sacs where oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchange. So doon nagkakaroon, doon nangyayari yung gas exchange na tinatawag natin. So, okay, aside from that, meron tayong lobe. Okay, may lobe tayo. Si lobe natin para lang din siyang sa heart, 'di ba? May right lung, may left lung. May right side ng heart, may left side ng heart. Sa right natin, meron tayong 3 lobes. Okay? Parang right 3, 'di ba? 3. And then, dalawa dito sa left natin. Okay? Right lung has 3 lobes. And then, the left lung has two lobes. Okay, that's your respiratory, the upper and lower respiratory tract. So, breathing mechanics. Okay, so breathing mechanics, first we have the inhalation and exhalation. So when we inhale, the diaphragm contracts. So magko-contract si diaphragm. Okay, bakit kaya kailangan mag-contract ni diaphragm? Para sa ganon, kapag once na nag-contract ang ating diaphragm, magmo-move down kasi yan. Okay? Pag nag-inhale tayo, magko-contract si diaphragm, tapos magmo-move down siya. Bakit? Kasi bigyan niya ng space yung lung natin para mag-expand. Kasi kapag once na hindi nag-contract ang ating diaphragm, ang tendency, limited lang, konti lang yung pag-expand ng ating lungs. So it means, konti lang yung gas or yung oxygen na papasok sa ating lungs. Unlike kapag once na naka-take tayo or kapag once na nag-contract ang diaphragm natin, mag-move down siya. So malaki yung space ng lung natin para mag-expand. Okay? And then, the chest cavity enlarges. So as you can see, kapag mag-i-inhale ka, nag-rise, okay, tumataas ang ating chest. And then next natin, the pressure inside the lungs drops. Bumababa yung pressure and air rushes in. So papasok na ngayon yung what do you call this one? Yung air, yung oxygen doon sa ating lungs para magkaroon na ng gas exchange. So when we exhale naman, the diaphragm relaxes. Kanina nag-contract. So ngayon, ang mangyayari sa diaphragm natin, babalik siya sa kanyang normal position and size. Kasi kanina, nag-move down siya. Ngayon, babalik na siya sa normal position niya. And then the chest cavity shrink and the pressure inside the lung rises, and para ma-push na yung air sa ating lung, which is the carbon dioxide. So that is the mechanism, the breathing mechanism. Next naman natin, we have the structure supporting the breathing. So we have the structure that supports our breathing. So what are those? First, we have your pleura. Si pleura, yan yung outer covering ng ating lungs. The outer covering ng ating lungs, that is your pleura. Okay? The pleura. Si pleura natin, it's a double-layered membrane around the lungs. May dalawang type tayo ng pleura. Your visceral and your parietal pleura. Okay, sila yung nagko-cover ng ating lungs. Parang kanina lang din sa heart natin, meron tayong pericardium. But this time, it's pleura naman. Next, we have the pleural fluid. The pleural fluid, okay, it lubricates and prevent friction during breathing. Kasi nga, di ba, nagkakaroon tayo ng friction. Kasi nagkakaroon ng pagkiskis, kasi nagkakaroon ng dilation, nagkakaroon ng constriction. And then, it's made up of different layer. So, to prevent the friction, kailangan natin ng lubrication or ng lubricant. Ngayon, yun si pleural fluid natin. Okay? It's your pleural fluid. Next, we have the surfactant. The surfactant natin, it is the chemical that reduces a surface tension in alveoli. It means that our surfactant is to maintain yung tinatawag natin na lung recoil. Okay? The lung recoil. The ability of our lung to expand. Pag decrease ang surfactant natin, ang tendency ang lungs natin ay magko-collapse. Okay? Magko-collapse ang lung natin pag walang surfactant. Okay? Sino nagproproduce ng ating surfactant? Ang nagproproduce ng ating surfactants is the cells in our alveoli. Okay? Siya yung nagproproduce ng ating surfactant. Also, your surfactant, hindi lang siya for lung recall o yung tinatawag natin, it promotes lung stability. Okay? Your surfactant promotes lung stability. Okay? Promotes lung stability. So, next we have your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is the major muscle for breathing. Okay, the major muscle for breathing. So napaka-importante ni diaphragm kasi siya yung nagko-control ng breathing. 'Di ba? Remember kanina, pag once na mag-i-inhale ka, magko-constrict siya at kapag once na mag-e-exhale ka, babalik siya sa normal position. So kapag once na hindi nagfa-function ang ating what they call this one, ang ating diaphragm, ang tendency hindi maganda yung breathing pattern natin. Okay? So what do you call this one? Ang ating diaphragm is tawag na nito, ang ating diaphragm controls, okay, our diaphragm, okay, our diaphragm is innervated or it controls by a nerve. Okay, our diaphragm controls by a nerve. At anong tawag dun sa nerve na yun? That is the phrenic nerve. Okay? Si phrenic nerve, yan yung nagko-control kay diaphragm. Okay, usually nasa second or third ata yan nasa second or third. Okay. So again, yes, C3, C5 pala siya. Okay, si diaphragm, it's controlled by the phrenic nerve from the spinal nerve. Okay, the phrenic nerve, yan yung nagko-control sa main organ, main muscle natin for breathing. Wait lang. So let's proceed to the airflow. So, sa airflow natin, ayan. Okay, first, yung air pupunta sa nose. Okay, yung air pupunta yan sa nose natin. Pagpunta niya sa nose, dadaan yan sa pharynx. Sa pharynx, dadaan next, ibababa sa larynx, and then papasok sa trachea, and then bronchi, followed by bronchioles, yung pinakamaliit na, and then pupunta yan sa alveoli, and yung pinaka-end niya, pupunta yan sa pulmonary capillaries. Kasi dito, mangyayari yung gas exchange na tinatawag. So, nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, and pulmonary capillaries. So, proceed tayo sa ating diagnostic test. First, we have the sputum specimen collection. May 4 tayong technique on how to collect a sample. So first, we have the sputum culture and sensitivity. So from the word culture and sensitivity, so it means we culture the sputum. Chine-check natin. When we say culture, chine-check natin kung what type or what kind of microorganism yung present sa sputum ng ating pasyente. And when we say sensitivity, this is what kind or what type of antibiotic that can kill yung microorganism na nakita natin sa sputum ng pasyente, or what kind of of antibiotic ang magte-take effect kay patient. That is sputum culture and sensitivity. So, nursing responsibility, best time to collect sample is early in the morning or upon waking up. Upon awaking. Okay, so best time to collect sample is upon waking up or early in the morning. Pero kapag once na mag-check kayo ng exam, okay, so pag mag-check kayo ng exam class, kapag once na meron itong dalawa, Okay? Pag meron itong dalawa, best time is upon awakening. Okay? Upon awakening. Kung meron si early in the morning, tapos meron din si upon awakening, best time upon awakening. Awakening or waking up. Pero pag wala si waking up, si early in the morning tayo. Okay? Early in the morning. Container, saan natin siya ilalagay? Sa sterile container. Then after nyan, we need to tell to patient or educate the patient to perform oral care. Dapat hindi siya gagamit ng toothpaste, hindi rin siya gagamit ng mouthwash or toothbrush. Kasi nga, yung mouthwash natin and yung toothbrush natin has a content na alcohol. So, kapag once na yung alcohol na yan ay dumikit doon sa sputum natin, pwede kasing patahin nung alcohol na yun, yung bacteria na present doon sa sputum ng pasyente mo. Kaya magkakaroon tayo ng false negative result. Okay? So, dapat meron ka sanang sakit, meron ka sanang makikitang bacteria, kaso napatay siya during nag-oral care ka, gumamit ka ng mouthwash, kaya ngayon, hindi ka bibigyan ng gamot. Kasi nga, napatay yung microorganism, walang na-detect doon sa sputum mo. So, dapat dito is water only. Okay? Water only. So, considerations natin kapag magpe-perform ng or magko-collect ng sputum. So, first, we need to tell the patient to do deep breathing exercise. So, ask the patient to mag-inhale, exhale for 3 times. So, inhale ka ma'am, then dahan-dahan lang po slowly, ilalabas nyo po sa bunganga nyo, and then repeat po for the second time around, and then for the third time around, kailangan hack up. Kailangan mag-hack up ka na or cough out na ang gagawin mo. Okay, para sa ganun, ma-make sure talaga natin na sputum yung lalabas doon sa pasyente natin. So, consideration, deep breathing, increase oral fluid, hack up or cough out. And then, kapag once na meron ng sputum sample, make sure na you need to label. Okay? You need to label it. So, anong ilalagay natin? Yung name ng pasyente, yung date and time, age, and the sex or the gender. Okay? Sex or the gender. Yan yung mga kailangan nating ilagay na information. After malabelan, you need to bring the specimen in the laboratory ASAP. Okay? As soon as possible. To bring the specimen as soon as possible in the laboratory. Why? Because kapag yan ay more than 30 minutes, the specimen is already expired. So, discard it and tell to your patient to collect another one. Okay? Kailangan pa kolektahin natin siya ng panibago. Kasi the sample, it can, pwedeng nagkaroon na siya ng cross-contamination that can bring to a false positive result. Okay? So, aside from that, pag sputum culture yan, kailangan lang natin ng 5 ml. Okay? Please reiterate this one to your patient. Kasi baka mamaya sobrang dami yung bibigay niya sa yung sputum sample. Okay? So, 5 ml lang. Next natin, routine sputum exam. The consideration are the same. Parehas lang. Best time, container, parehas lang yan. Ang pinagkaiba lang nila will be the amount. So, yung amount natin pag routine sputum examination, it's 10 to 15 ml. Okay, it's 10 to 15 ml. Aside from that, when we say routine sputum exam, dito kasi sabi natin si sputum culture, chine-check natin kung what kind of microorganism and what kind of antibiotic can kill the microorganism. Dito kasi sa routine sputum, just only check, okay, the appearance, the consistency, the color. Titignan ba natin may presence ng WBC? May presence ba ng red blood cells or blood dun sa sputum natin? Yun lang yung kailangan natin gawin kapag once na routine sputum exam. Okay, yun lang yung tinitignan natin. Kung may presence ng WBC, may presence ng blood or ng red blood cell, kung anong kulay niya, anong consistency niya. Okay, yun yung mga chinecheck natin pagdating sa routine sputum exam. So, 10 to 15 ml. Next natin your acid-fast bacilli or direct sputum smear microscopy. Dito is to assess pulmonary tuberculosis. Kailangan dito, same considerations lang din sila kung paano mag-collect. Ang pinagkaibahan lang, we collect sample for 3 consecutive days. So, 3 beses na magkakasunod tayo kukuha ng sample. So, first day, second day, and third day. So, for example, during the first day natin, sabi natin the best time to collect sample is early in the morning or upon waking up. For example, there's a patient. Pumunta siya 12:00 ng tanghali sa RHU. May order si doc na for DSSM. Anong gagawin natin? Ko-collect ba tayo ng sputum sample or ipagbubukas na lang natin? So, kailangan mag-collect tayo ng sputum sample. Kasi sa first collection natin, yan yung tinatawag natin na spot collection. Okay? Spot collection. Pwede tayong kumuha kahit anong oras yan. Pero pagdating sa second day, kailangan early in the morning na. Kailangan umaga na. At pagdating sa third day natin, kailangan early in the morning na. But in some book, okay, ito yung ginagawa nating practice early in the morning. But in the book, pwede siya anytime. Okay, pwede siyang anytime katulad ni first collection natin na spot collection yung tinatawag. Okay, so dito dapat magkaroon ka ng 2 positive result para masabi natin na may pulmonary tuberculosis ang pasyente. Sir, bakit 3 beses? Kasi there's an instances kasi na sa unang collection, pwedeng negative si patient. But the following collection, pwede na siyang positive. Or pwede naman during the first collection, positive siya, tapos magne-negative siya sa second. So, para ma-make sure natin yung accuracy, dapat 2 beses magpa-positive si patient dun sa 3. Okay, sa 3 collection. Next natin your cytologic sputum exam. Sa cytologic sputum exam natin, same lang sila. Okay, same lang sila ng nursing consideration, ni routine and ni culture. Even this one, we collect 3 consecutive days. 3 consecutive days tayo. Ang pinagkaibahan lang nila, the purpose. Kung dito to assess PTB, dito to assess the presence of abnormal cells, abnormal or cancer cells. Okay? Yan lang yung gusto nating i-check pag cytologic sputum examination. Now, proceed tayo sa bronchoscopy natin. Si bronchoscopy is used to view the airway and check for any abnormalities. So, as you can see, ito si bronchoscopy. Okay? Ito yung bronchoscope. Yan. Pupunta yan doon sa may bronchioles natin para ma-check natin kung may obstruction or narrowing. So, what are the nursing considerations prior to the procedure? First, we need to secure consent. Bakit? This is an invasive procedure. Invasive procedure said, that's why we need to secure consent. Next, NPO 6 to 8 hours prior to the procedure. Kailangan NPO si patient. Bakit? To prevent aspiration. We need also to check the coagulation status. Yung mga bleeding time ng pasyente natin. Bakit? Kasi kapag once na at risk sa bleeding si pasyente, kapag ang platelet niya ay masyadong mababa, ang coagulation time niya ay mababa, matagal, that can lead to hypovolemic shock. Kasi may ipapasok tayo ng instrument. And this is the instrument ay matigas yan. Pwede niyang ma-injure yung lining ng ating esophagus, yung lining ng ating bronchus. Pwede niyang ma-injure yan. And kapag once na na-injure niya yan, tapos mababa yung coagulation status mo, or at risk ka for bleeding, ang tendency magbe-bleed ka ng magbe-bleed. Okay, magbe-bleed ka ng magbe-bleed. That can lead to hypovolemic shock. So, we need to check the coagulation status before mag-proceed dun sa procedure. Next, remove dentures or eyeglasses. As you can see, pinasok sa bunganga. So, kapag once na may dentures yan, pwedeng malunok ng pasyente mo yan. Okay? Pwede niya malunok at that can lead to aspiration. Pag once na meron siyang dentures, another injury. Kasi baka matamaan na sa mata. Diba nasa mata yan, baka matamaan kapag once na pinasok yung endoscope or yung bronchoscope. Okay? So that is the fourth. Next, prepare for suction. Kasi may possibility kasi na merong mga secretion. So remember, nakasedate yung pasyente natin dyan, hindi niya, she or he cannot expel the secretion. So kailangan natin ng machine paraisuck yung secretion niya by the use of your suction machine. Next natin, we need to administer medication. First, we administer yung tinatawag natin na sedatives or the Valium. Okay? We administer Valium or sedatives sa ating pasyente. We need to sedate your patient. Okay, we need to sedate your patient to decrease the anxiety. So when we administer Valium, dapat lang laging yung resuscitation equipment is always available. Okay, kapag nag-administer ka ng Valium, dapat yung resuscitation equipment ay laging available. Why? Because Valium is CNS depressant. Okay, i-depress niya yung CNS. Therefore, yung ating respiratory center, the medulla oblongata and the pons is also affected. So, ang tendency, pag na-affect sila ng ating anesthesia or ng Valium, hindi sila magfa-function properly. Kaya it can lead to respiratory arrest. Is respiratory distress. So, kapag nangyari yun, ayan ang gagawin natin. Okay, the resuscitation equipment. Aside from that, we also administer your atropine sulfate. Okay, aside from Valium, we also administer atropine sulfate. Your atropine sulfate is cholinergic. Okay, cholinergic yan. It's a cholinergic drug. Anong pinapagawa niya? It decreases our secretion. Okay, pinapa-decrease niya ang secretion. Bakit kailangan pa-decreasein ang secretion? Remember class, sedate ang pasyente mo. So kung sedate siya, relax ang mga muscles, relax ang ating buong katawan. Even the epiglottis, which is epiglottis, siya yung dahilan kung bakit hindi nakakapasok ang mga food or tubig doon sa lungs natin or sa respiratory system natin. Kasi every time na pumapasok ang food, nagko-close ang pag once na food ang pumapasok, nagko-close ang epiglottis natin. Pag once na air ang papasok, mag-open si epiglottis para sa ganun sa air para sa lungs pumasok yung air. Ang problem natin, we sedate our patient. We administer Valium. So, ang tendency, ang ating epiglottis is naka-open lang siya all throughout. So, kapag once na nagbigay ka, okay, hindi ka nagbigay ng atropine sulfate, magka-create lang tayo ng saliva. Ang salivary glands natin is patuloy lang magka-create ng saliva or ng secretion, at yan, pwedeng pag once na nagkaroon ng secretion, remember, hindi naka-side-lying si pasyente mo. So, ang tendency, palikod yung movement ng saliva, at pwedeng bumaba yan papunta sa lungs mo. That can lead to aspiration. And the last medication that we administer is the lidocaine spray. Okay? We administer your lidocaine spray. Para saan si lidocaine spray? To suppress the gag reflex. So that is the nursing consideration before the procedure. Post-procedure, we need to check the vital signs of our patient. Okay? Especially, check natin yung blood pressure niya, yung RR niya. Kapag bumababa yung blood pressure niya, baka indication yun na nagkaroon ng bleeding. Baka indication yun na nagkaroon na ng injury or damage dun sa lining ng ating respiratory tract. So, we need to check the blood pressure. Kasi baka mamaya continuous na yung bleeding. Baka mamaya hypovolemic shock na yan. Okay? We need to check the RR as well. Okay? Next, Fowler's position. After the procedure, we need to place the patient in a Fowler's position or side-lying position para yung secretion ay mag-drain. Next, check the gag reflex. Kailangan i-check ang gag reflex, and we need to place the patient NPO until gag reflex return. Huwag kang magpapakain hanggang walang gag reflex. Huwag kang magbibigay ng tubig hanggang walang gag reflex. So, kailangan i-check muna natin kapag meron na, that's the time na pwede tayo magpakain. Pero dapat paunti-unti lang. From a soft diet, dapat ano lang para ma-tolerate niya. Okay? So, wag agad yung matitigas ang ipapakain natin. Okay, paano ma-check si gag reflex? We need to use the tongue depressor. Okay. Next, monitor for bloody sputum. Bloody sputum indication yan na nagkaroon ng injury or damage doon sa lining ng respi or ng esophagus ni pasyente. And then monitor for respiration and monitor for complication. Notify the physician if complication occur. Yun ang sinasabi ko kanina. Okay? Pag continuous lang ng lunok ang pasyente mo, sign yan na may bleeding, may active bleeding. Pag ang sputum ng pasyente mo may dugo, sign yan na may active bleeding. Pag bumababa ang BP ng pasyente, sign yan na may bleeding. Pag nag-iiba yung respiration niya, bumababa ang respiratory rate niya, another problem, respiratory distress. So we need to notify agad-agad the physician para magkaroon ng intervention. That is the bronchoscopy. Next natin, we have the thoracentesis. Sa thoracentesis natin, this is the aspiration of air, blood, and fluid in the pleural space. So it means there's an accumulation, there's a abnormal accumulation of air, blood, fluid in the pleural space. So kapag pneumothorax yan, ibig sabihin air ang tinatanggal natin. Pag hemothorax, that is blood. And kapag pleural effusion, that is fluid or water. Okay, so that's the indication. What are the nursing responsibility? Pre-procedure, we need to secure consent. Bakit? That is an invasive procedure. May pinasok tayong needle. Kaya invasive procedure siya. Okay? Next, check the vital signs, especially the RR. Okay? Check the vital signs for the baseline data. Pangatlo, we need to instruct to remain still and avoid coughing, sneezing, and yawning. Bakit? Bakit kailangan nating instruct si patient to kailangan natin siyang instruct to prevent accidental puncture of the lungs. Okay? We need to prevent the accidental puncture of the lungs by instructing the patient to remain still, avoid coughing, sneezing, and yawning. As you can see, may needle kang pinasok. Ilalagay mo yan sa may pleural space. So, ang tendency kapag once na gumalaw ka, ayan, pwede niyang matusok yung lungs. Another problem na naman yan. Okay? Another problem na naman yan. Next, position. Wait lang. Okay, position the patient into or top nick. Okay, position the patient or in our top nick position. Ito, yung position niya. Sitting and leaning forward. Okay? Sitting and leaning forward. Kailangan yan yung position ng ating pasyente during the procedure. Bakit? Kasi nagkakaroon ng expansion. As you can see, di ba? Mas nag-expand yung lungs kasi mas na-i-stretch siya. So usually, ito din yung ginagawa natin kapag asthma attack Ganyan pinoposition natin yung pasyente natin. And then location, the insertion of needle. Kapag once na air yan, dahil si air ay magaan, nasa second or third intercostal space. Doon ang insertion ng needle natin. Pero kapag yan ay fluid or blood, usually ang position or ang location ng insertion site natin nasa 8th or 9th intercostal space. Kasi nga, mas mabigat na ang fluid and blood. Okay? Dislocation. Post procedure, then we need to position the patient in the unaffected side. Okay? Kailangan i-position natin siya unaffected side. Okay. Okay, position the patient on the unaffected side. Okay, unaffected side, few hours. But if bleeding na ang ating problema, we can position the patient into affected side. Okay? Kapag bleeding na, kailangan na natin siyang i-position in the affected side para magkaroon ng pressure. And then, apply sterile OS. Usually, nilalagay natin dyan your Vaseline Vaseline gauze. Okay, your Vaseline gauze ang ginagamit natin para dito. Okay, and then check the vital signs, especially the RR, and then promote lung expansion by doing this. First, deep breathing exercise. Pangalawa, para ma-promote natin lung expansion through the use of, early ambulation. And lastly, through the use of your incentive spirometer. Okay, yan yung gagamitin natin to promote lung expansion. So next natin, we have your incentive spirometry. Sa incentive spirometry natin, ito lang, isa yung ginagawa natin yan para magkaroon ng lung expansion. So what are the nursing consideration? Lips should seal the mouthpiece. Ito si mouthpiece natin. Okay, dapat seal yan. As you can see, ayan, no? Dapat buo niya yan. Okay? Next, inspire deeply. Inspire ka deeply, and then hold inspiration, and then you need to exhale dito. I-exhale mo dyan. As you can see, itong piston, mag-rise yan. Okay? Tataas yan. Ito, the goal marker mo. So, dapat maipadala mo doon si piston. Okay? Dapat dito mo maidala si piston. Pag naidala mo dyan, ibig sabihin na achieve mo yung goal mo, may possibility na nagkaroon na ng lung re-expansion. So, forcefully exhale dito, and then avoid the use at mealtime. So, wag mong gagamitin to pagkatapos mong kumain. Bakit? Pwedeng magkaroon ng aspiration. Okay? So, wag gagawin yan during meal times. That is your incentive spirometry. Next natin your chest tube. Okay? The chest tube drainage system. So, para saan ba si chest tube? Si chest tube natin, same lang din siya. It drains the abnormal accumulation of fluid, air, blood, or pus. So, para lang siyang thoracentesis. Si thoracentesis kasi, we aspirate. Pero dito, we drain it. Okay? We drain it by the use of suction, by the use of gravity, and then the suction, ganun. So, yun yung ginagawa natin. Dinidrain natin yung mga excessive accumulation ng fluid, air, blood, and pus. Pero kailan ba natin sila ginagamit? It depends on the severity. Kapag severe na yan, masyadong madami, chest tube. Pag kaya naman, konti lang, thoracentesis tayo. Pero kapag viscous, masyado nang malapot yung secretion or yung kailangan ng tanggalin, chest tube, kasi hindi siya kaya ng thoracentesis. Okay? So, yun yung pinagkaiba nila. Okay? So, si chest tube natin returns negative pressure to the intrapleural space. Our lungs kasi is negatively in pressure. So, wala daw dapat pressure dyan. Kaso, kapag nalalagyan niya ng air, nalalagyan niya ng blood, nalalagyan niya ng pus, nalalagyan niya ng fluid, nagkakaroon ng positively charged pressure. So, yan, kailangan nating tanggalin para magkaroon ng expansion. Kasi hindi makakapag-expand na mabuti ang lungs mo kung merong positive pressure. So, kailangan nating tanggalin yan. Okay, through the use of your chest tube. Next, remove abnormal accumulation of air and fluid. Kaya nga nang sabi ko kanina. And serve as lang while healing is going on. So, habang meron pa ring accumulation doon, habang may tubig, habang may air, habang may blood, or habang may pus, siya muna ang mag-a-act as lungs natin. Okay? So, ang chest tube natin, may tatlong chamber tayo or bottle. First, the collection chamber. Ito si collection chamber natin, yung malapit sa pasyente natin. Second one, we have the water seal. Okay, the water seal. And then the third one, this is the suction control chamber. As you can see, nakakonect siya sa may suction wall natin, which has a 80 to 120 millimeter mercury. Okay, yan yung pressure niya, 80 to 120. So, sa principles natin, meron tayong gravity. Bakit gravity? Kasi nga, nakakonect yung tube. So, ngayon, yung drainage dyan, okay, yung for example, may excessive accumulation. As you can see kasi, tignan mo class, yung lungs mo magkaiba. Ang laki ng lungs mo dito, ang liit ng lungs mo dito. Because that positive pressure pushes our lungs. Okay, yung kikita mo, pinupush ng positively pressure. Kaya kailangan natin ibalik siya sa negatively pressure para bumalik siya sa normal position and normal size niya. So ngayon, may pinasok tayong tube dito. Yung tube na yan, hihigupin or tatanggalin niya yung accumulation ng air or yung blood man yan or fluid man yan through the help of suction or through the help of gravity. So ngayon, pinasok mo yung tube dyan, bababa lapad dito yung bababa lapad dyan yung drainage. Bababa lapad dyan. Okay? Next, suction. As you can see, may suction dito. Oh. Okay, dyan yung suction machine natin. And then next, the water seal. Ito, naka-water seal yan. Bakit? Para hindi na pumasok yung air. Okay, para hindi na pumasok yung air. So, what are the nursing consideration? Okay, nursing consideration, first, occlusive dressing. Okay, and then, a chest x-ray assesses the position of the tube and determines re-expansion. Okay, so occlusive dressing, kailangan natin maglagay ng occlusive dressing dito para sa ganun, hindi makapasok yung air. Second one, chest x-ray, i-assess niya din yung position. Tama ba yung placing nitong tube? Nagkaroon na ba ng lung re-expansion? So, si x-ray ang magsasabi nun. Okay, siya ang magko-confirm kung nagkaroon na ba talaga ng lung re-expansion. Kasi kapag once na nagkaroon na ng lung re-expansion, pwede na nating tanggalin yung tubings or yung chest tube. Then, assess respiratory status para makita natin kung nagkakaroon ba ng progression. And then next, drainage system below the chest. Kailangan mas mababa. Okay, mas mababa dapat yung drainage system. Kasi kapag once na mataas yan, always remember class, we use gravity. So kapag mas mataas siya sa chest, hindi matatanggal yung drainage natin or yung secretion. And then ensure secure connection. Isa-secure natin yung connection by how? Iti-tape natin sila. Okay, pagkalagay ng ating chest tube, you need to secure the tubings or the connection by taping. Okay, maglalagay ka ngayon ng tape doon sa mga tubings natin para sa ganun hindi siya magkaroon ng disconnection. Okay, yan yung una nating gagawin. Next, ensure secure connection. Ensures connection, coughing and deep breathing exercise. Okay, kailangan perform coughing and deep breathing exercise. And then change position every 2 hours and do not strip. So, yan yung mga nursing considerations natin. So, aside from that, okay, dapat i-observe din natin yung mga bottles natin. Okay, kasi sa bottles natin, may mga makikita tayo. First, the bottle 3. Sa suction bottle natin, kailangan may makikita tayong gentle, constant bubbling. Okay. Dito, dapat sa bottle 3 natin, may makikita tayong gentle, constant bubbling. That's for the bottle 3. Okay, sa bottle 3, dapat may constant, a gentle, constant bubbling. Next, sa bottle 2 natin, okay, sa bottle 2 natin, kailangan mayroon tayong makikita dito na bubbling or moving ng water. Bakit? First, kailangan may bubbling siya. Pero yung bubbling niya dapat should be intermittent. Okay, yung bubbling niya dapat ay intermittent. Okay, dapat intermittent bubbling siya. Okay? Next, sabi ko dapat may moving. May pag-move ng air. Kasi nga sabi natin, it acts as lungs while healing is going on. So, pag mag-i-inhale ka, dapat tataas yung water. Pag mag-e-exhale ka, bababa yung water. Okay? So, dapat may movement no water. Kapag once yung tubig, okay, yung tubig dito sa may water cell natin, continuous yung bubbling. Continuous, it means meron tayong tinatawag na air leak. Okay? But if the bubbling is vigorous, meron siyang subcutaneous emphysema. Okay? May subcutaneous emphysema siya. Aside from that, we need also to observe. Okay? Observe yung bubbling niya. If the bubbling stopped during the first 3 days, okay, pag yung bubbling nag-stop dito during the first 3 days, ibig sabihin yan wala pang lung re-expansion. So don't notify the physician first. Kapag first 3 days yan, tapos nag-stop yung bleed, yung bubbling, hindi yan ibig sabihin na nagkaroon na ng lung re-expansion. I-check mo yung tubings kasi baka merong kink. Okay? Baka merong kink. Okay? Baka merong kink or obstruction. So, anong gagawin natin dito kapag may kink or obstruction? Gagawin natin dyan, magmi-milking tayo. Milking or stripping. Okay? Yan yung gagawin natin if may obstruction. Pag may kink naman, check mo baka kasi nahigaan lang ng pasyente. But if after 3 days na wala yung bubbling, that's an indication na nagkaroon na ng lung re-expansion. Para ma-confirm natin kung may lung re-expansion na ba talaga, we need to undergo the patient for chest x-ray to confirm if there's already a lung re-expansion. Okay? So, in case na magpapalit tayo or magka-clamp tayo ng bottle, okay? Sorry, ng tubings pala. When to clamp the tubings. So, una, magka-clamp tayo if there's a need to change or empty the bottle. Okay? Kapag mag-change or for example, itong bottle 1 natin, puno na, i-change na natin siya or i-empty na natin siya, that's the time na check tayo or magka-clamp tayo ng bottle. Second one, accidental tube disconnection. Okay, pag accidental tube disconnection, we need to clamp the tubings. But if nagkaroon ng accidental tube disconnection from the bottle 1, kailangan ng always laging nandoon sa bedside natin. Okay? Always remember this class. Dapat readily available ang container of sterile water. Okay? Kailangan readily available lang yan container of sterile water. Bakit? Sa bedside to class dapat laging available yan. Bakit? In case na nagkaroon ng disconnection nitong tubings natin, Ang tendency class kapag once na na-disconnect yan, may papasok na hangin. Yung papasok na hangin na yan, mag-a-add na naman yan dun sa positive pressure na pumasok na tinatanggal mo. Di ba tinatanggal mo nga siya, kaso na-dislodge to, nadagdagan na naman yung kailangan mong tanggalin. Kaya ang kailangan natin gawin, dapat ang ating doon sa bedside, readily lang yung container of sterile water. Bakit? Kapag once na na-dislodge to or na-disconnect to, kailangan nating isoak etong tubings dito sa container of sterile water. Diba? Para na siya ngayong yung tinatawag nating water seal bottle. Para sa ganun, hindi lang pumasok yung air doon sa lungs ng pasyente natin. So, dapat always remember, class, readily available lang yung container of sterile water. Aside from that, accidental breakage of the bottle. Pag once na nabasag yung bottle, that's the time na magka-clamp tayo. Okay? Kailangan magka-clamp tayo. So, yun yung mga reason or yung mga instances kung kailan tayo magka-clamp. But always remember, class, meron tayong 10-second rule. Dapat 10 seconds lang tayo magka-clamp. Kasi pag more than 10 na yan, that can lead to tension pneumothorax. Okay? So, yun yung gagawin natin. So, always take note, class. I-note natin. Note mo, performing Valsalva maneuver during insertion and removal to prevent air embolism. Okay. Performing Valsalva maneuver during insertion and removal to prevent air embolism. Bakit? Kapag nagva-Valsalva maneuver ka or pag nag-i-strain ka, anong ginagawa mo? Ang ginagawa mo, di ba? Yung pressure sa thoracic cavity mo, pinapataas niya. So ngayon, pag once na yung pressure na yan, ipupush niya yung ating lungs. So ang tendency, ma-prevent natin yung pagpasok ng air. So kailangan during insertion and during removal, we need to perform Valsalva maneuver. Okay, aside from that, in case na nagkaroon ng disconnection nitong tubings natin sa chest, kailangan readily available lang si sterile gauze. Okay? Lagi lang dapat readily available si sterile gauze. So, for example, nakita mo na dislodge to, kuha ka agad na yung sterile gauze, takpan mo siya. Okay? Takpan mo agad yung insertion site natin para hindi pumasok yung air. Kasi 'di ba, tinatanggalan nga natin siya, kaso na dislodge, dadagdagan na naman natin. So, para ma-prevent yung pagdagdag ng accumulation dito ng air, we need to apply sterile gauze to prevent air embolism or pneumothorax. Okay?